Welcome to Streets Where Forget podcast. We are back here to do another weekend roundup of the games. Another interesting week in the Prem. A bad week for my week. A good week for both of your weeks. I'm Dodds, and this is Streets Where Forget podcast. I'm here today with Louie,
Yes,
as
yes.
always. And
Come
today
on.
we've got a new face on the scene. A new face. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Mukz. Feel me? I'm a
Mukz.
Man City fan, so my boys are we're good this week. We're happy. We're alive and kicking. Yeah, I can't complain at this point, man. I can't complain.
Chose the wrong week to get Mukz on, man, because yesterday. Let's start there. Arsenal. Actually, we can start with the City game.
Yeah,
City
yeah.
3-1 against Leicester. City absolutely picking up form. Look, would you say there was a point in the season, though, that were you worried at a point, January when you're losing to Tottenham, when you were playing, every week it seemed like your 11 was changing, but it's now clicking. You've beat Bayern Munich. You've got a tough game against them. It's not all done. You've got to go to Allianz, but you expect City to go through in that game on course for a treble. Like, it's been a mad season for you lot. Yeah, would you say that you're surprised in terms of the turnaround, or you kind of saw it coming?
I wouldn't say surprised is the word for it, because I've always known we've had it in us. When do you know it's Pep. Like, sometimes he just tries to overthink and he tries to become a genius. Like when he was playing Bernardo Silva at left back, and when we just tinkering around when we first got into that 3-2-4-1. And there was times I was like, I didn't recognize the team I was playing. There was no patterns of play. Like, our team looked like we didn't know where our next pass was.
Mm.
And then obviously, I don't know what's happened. I think it's probably because we've gone with the four like main centre backs now, all comfortable in the ball, all relatively quick, and yeah, it seemed to click it at the right time of the season, man.
Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. 3-1 against Leicester. Um, Louis, you said last week that it was not a point gain necessarily, or not 2 points dropped for
Mhm.
Arsenal. Now, after Arsenal have just gone to West Ham, 2-0 up, 2-2, how are you, as a neutral fan in this, looking? What's your latest thoughts on the title race, man?
I'm in the same boat as I was last week because realistically, like in my head, the result in terms of just getting a point at West Ham, like it's not like it's an awful point, but it's the psychological factor of again throwing away a 2 goal lead, again giving City even more space to just attack you. So I think if you'd have gone and won that game 3 or 4-0, it would have been like, okay, Arsenal are here. But you guys went 2-0 up. Looked like you guys were gonna, you were coasting in the first half, as you were against Liverpool as well. And there's some sort of psychological factor. But I think what's happening is, as I said last week, man, Pep's little bro in Arteta, bruv, because Arteta's coming out with the same team every week, and Pep's saying, "Nah, let me change this. Let me come out here. Let me do a couple tweaks." Um, I think the Haaland factor, obviously, it was going to take a while for he'll always score goals no matter the environment, but it took a while for them to kind of, get free flowing with Haaland in it, and I think this system now has allowed them to have the control that Pep wants, as well as getting Haaland in the positions that Haaland needs to be in and around the box. It's getting the best out of De Bruyne, where he can sort of, not do too much, but when he gets on the ball, he can be decisive. It's getting the best out of Grealish as well. Um, the two defenders on either side of Diaz, they're very good at defending those wide areas. So if the ball comes out over the top, like Mukz said, they're decently quick. So, Ake and Akanji 1v1, cool. Come at us 1v1. And even, the other day against Leicester, we've seen Laporte and we've seen Walker come in. Again, it's the same rules apply. And I think, look, people talk about City's depth. I don't think the depth is what it has been over the past couple of years, but they've still got quality to come in when they need to rotate. Arsenal, I don't think, have that to an extent. You've got a very good starting 11 and then 3 or 4 players in and around who can come in and do a job. But I don't think, um, I don't know, Arteta's not utilising the squad as well as what Pep is, in terms of he's not changing the system when he's bringing the personnel in, whereas Pep has now been able to change the system to fit the personnel he has. And
Yeah,
I'm quite interested actually to see what Arteta does going forward, because for me, I think Xhaka's had a great season, but for me, in my head, there was always going to become a point where he was going to be a little bit of a liability. He's looked that over the past couple of games now. I'm interested to see whether he goes with like a Partey and Jorginho pivot, allows Odegaard to sort of float around rather than having to do the defensive work. I think that's something they could try out. Maybe try Zinchenko midfield with Partey and Tierney at left back. I don't know. I think he needs to do something. He needs to sort of spice it up, because you guys have got a little bit stale. You let the complacency get to you. I don't think you've bottled it. I just think City have that experience, and I just think Pep has been saying to these guys, look, we're gonna get there. We've got the best goal scorer in the world.
Yeah, it's strange because as much as it appears we've got stale, we're starting off these games on fire, bro. Like the West Ham game, first 10 minutes,
Facts.
bro, they were 2-0, and it looked like it should have been way more. Same with the Liverpool game. So I don't even know. I think it's a mentality issue because
Complacency.
Yeah, complacency. Thomas Partey doing absolute foolishness for the goal, and then Saka, who's tucked away all his pens since Euros, misses. And to be fair, Saka's been poor recently. It'll be interesting to see if how he bounces back. But I know everyone's kind of said it, but I'll have to echo it, man. He should have been the one to come off, not Jesus, because Jesus was. I don't get it. I think Jesus, when he plays, most times he just looks like our best attacker, but I feel like people don't really want to admit that, or I don't know. And Arteta even now is kind of favouring Martinelli and Saka over him, which I don't get, because as soon as he comes off, right, we ain't got no one up top who's going to hold it. Yes, Trossard can do the link-up thing, but Trossard isn't going to battle like Jesus is going to battle. In these physical games against West Ham, we needed someone who was going to match them with it. You saw Antonio on the other end. He was, it wasn't doing much in terms of the final product, but in terms of the 50-50s, he was, he was having holding.
He's a handful, isn't he? Every time he plays, he's a handful.
Proper handful, man. But, I used to ask you, Mukz, if you're surprised by City's turnaround. Are you surprised by Arsenal chucking away these games?
Honestly, yeah, I am. I disagree with you, Lou. I reckon it is a bottle. I reckon Arsenal have bottled this, because it was at a point where they was in the ascendancy. There was 8-10 points clear at one stage, playing free flowing football. Everything was going their way, and obviously now it's got tough. It's got to the business end of the season where you need your players to pull out big performances, the big games. Against Liverpool, I'd say Saka ghosted that game, and that's not the first time I've seen him do that in a big game. He done it against City both games, and I think Saka's got to a point where I think he's a bit overprotected, because I've seen him getting stick for missing that penalty, and a lot of people coming to defend him, which I don't agree with that. I reckon if you're a top class player, you're one of Arsenal's best players, you're in a title running, you can go to put this. If he scores that penalty, you put the game to bed. It's 3-1 up. I don't see West Ham making a comeback. So I think he should get criticism for that, because you're one of the best young and upcoming players in the world. And that responsibility is falling on your shoulders. You should be burying that, man. You should be putting that away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do agree. The reason I don't like using the word bottle as such is I don't think there's been games where like Arsenal have. To be honest, Liverpool, West Ham, the first half, for me, they've done enough to win both them games in the first half. I think they've just got very, very complacent. Maybe you can call it a bottle, perhaps. But I think they've got very complacent. I think they've got very complacent with the position they're in. I think they've got very complacent in other competitions as well. Basically chucking the FA Cup, basically chucking the Europa League. Because now if they finish the season and they come second and they don't take any trophies from it, Arteta's at risk of becoming an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, man. He's in risk of becoming a Nearly man. I'm not sugarcoating it. Like, it is what it is, isn't it? Like, Ole had this a couple times. I know he didn't get as close as what Arteta could come this year, but second place finishes, getting to semi-finals and finals and not quite getting over the line. Throwing away silly games. This is what separates the men from the boys, man. And look, Pep's still in the FA Cup, still in the Champions League, still fighting for a Premier League title. And when Arsenal fans chucked away the FA Cup and the Europa League, they were talking nonsense to me saying, oh, we've got bigger fish to fry. bro, if you're that good a squad, you can fry all these fish at one time, bro. Like, get a bigger pan, man.
Yeah, man. I was one of those people who were saying we've got bigger fish to fry, kind of just to save face a bit. More of the FA Cup, with the Europa League going out, I was disappointed, man. Because that day against Sporting, we had our best team out pretty much, and we didn't get through. It's obviously it sounds like hindsight, but I was chatting to my brother after the game yesterday, and we both said honestly, the way Arsenal were playing back in like August, September, when we had the pink kit, Saliba scoring screamers and that. Since the World Cup, right, it's been a grind, bro. Like, there's been too many of these games, like where it's Man United, you're 2-2, late goal from Nketiah, 3-2 against Bournemouth, late goal from what's his name, Reece Nelson, late goal from Jorginho against Aston Villa. Then you come in two situations. You nearly get a late goal against Liverpool somehow. You don't get a late goal against West Ham. That's 5 games I've mentioned. We've conceded 2 goals, and we're conceding at an alarming rate. And I look at it now, and I just think it's like we're gonna have to absolutely turn our performances around. To be honest, man, if we're gonna compete with City for the last few games, because City aren't conceding really. Yes, they conceded against Leicester. But I mean, they had Calvin Phillips and guys playing. They had Pep. They were kind of like, thinking about Bayern Munich game. So it's gonna be. I don't know. As an Arsenal fan here, I can't see us. Unfortunately, I'll be shocked. I said a few months ago in the pod, I'll be shocked if we bought the league. Now I'm saying I'll be shocked if we actually turn this around and win at least 6 of our last 7 games and draw the game at least to Man City, which is, I think, the bare minimum we can do. I don't think we can draw to Newcastle. I don't think we can draw to Brighton. Nah, we have to win all those games.
Chelsea as well.
Chelsea as well.
If you don't win that, you don't deserve to win the title, though, at the end of the day. Let's be real with it.
I think we'll beat Chelsea, man. Like, at home, Emirates ain't an issue. But
Luton would beat Chelsea at the moment, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, probably.
I reckon you dispatch Chelsea, but I think the bigger problem, I don't think you come away from St. James's Park with 3 points. I don't really see that happening. I think defensively they're too solid, and obviously I know they just got packed in by Villa, but I feel like that's more of a one-off performance. I think especially a big game like that where like St. James's Park will be bouncing, they'll be proper up for it, especially because they've got something to play for. And it's those when you're playing teams that have also got something to play for when you're in a run-in, that's when it can get a bit difficult. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't back you lot to come out of that with 3 points.
I agree, man. And the thing with St. James's Park, it's a scary place, bro. When you go and as a player, I can imagine myself being in a tunnel, looking across here, and you've got like 8, 9, 6'3" big dons, bro. Monsters, yeah, on that big pitch as well. Huge stadium, goes up about. I've been there. It goes up so high. And the away fans are right up the top as well. So you're literally surrounded by 50,000 Geordies. Yeah, they're all screaming. It's their first chance they're going to get Champions League since the late 90s. That place is going to be bouncing. And, they're going to be... Are these Arsenal players going to be up for that fight? Because I tell you now, players like Joe Linton, players like Guimaraes, players like Dan Burn, sometimes technically Arsenal, 9 times out of 10, if it's a technical football pitch, there's no fans there. 9 times out of 10, Arsenal probably bop them around. But in the conditions, in the environment, those guys are going to want to be, they're playing for their careers, essentially. They're playing for their futures. They're playing to make history. So I agree, man. I think that's going to be a tough game for you to win. I don't think you come away with 3 points from that. And this is it, man. Grand scheme of things, you look at like across the whole season, that's a good point away at St. James's Park. But in the situation you're going to be in, you need to win that game.
Yeah, no, we do. It's so weird with us because, as negative as the talk is right now, like, there were so many good phases in the West Ham game and so many good phases in the Liverpool game. You could say there's enough evidence there to say that, okay, if they just switch it on for 90 minutes against Newcastle, they can win. If you do that against Man City as well, for 90 minutes, tough arse against this Man City team, they can do something. But it's just, I don't know, if we ain't got Saliba for them games, I just see
Yeah,
him
forget about it, man.
taking too many little mistakes, just being a bit too careless with the ball, and yeah, it just not ending up well. But Mukz, I want to ask. To be fair, you're in 3 competitions now, yeah. Um, how would you rank the importance of which ones you want to win the most? Obviously, Man City win Prem all the time, so I don't know if you're necessarily like we can miss the Prem this season. Champions League, I'd imagine that's the big one. But I want to hear from you. To be fair, like, what are you? What would you like? Obviously, you want to see your team win the treble, but say what's your order in terms of priority for those for the competitions this season in terms of what ones you want to win?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say I've got an order of priority. I think our route to the treble is very achievable. It's very manageable. But if you was to ask me which one would I want out of the three, come it's obvious. I had my heart broken so many times in the Champions League. I've shed enough tears over this tournament. Like that's the one. If we get that ticked off, then I don't really think anybody can have anything to say to us in terms of like the prestige and the level of our club. We're at the big boy table. I think me personally, I think we're there anyways. But once we get that, we're at that table and we're eating probably third after Arsenal and United,
Okay,
and actually
what in
now
terms of
probably
the biggest
Liverpool
teams
as
in
well.
England?
Huh?
In terms of like biggest teams in England?
Yeah, 100%. We have to be up there, man. If we're talking about the trophies and the level we're at now, I don't want to hear about what teams have won before you was born in 1966. And you know what I mean? I'm not trying to hear that. And to be honest, I'd much rather watch my team make history right now than have to read about it or hear it from your dad how they did it in the past. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, you know what it is, man. It could be a very, very sad end to the season for me because I could watch City. I could watch them get crowned with a treble and a three-peat Premier League title, but I could see it done in a Manchester derby at Wembley in the FA Cup.
That was
Which,
crazy.
so do you know what? Yeah, I can deal with them doing a double again. I can deal with that. If United win the Europa League, cool. Um, I just need Real Madrid to do me one favor again. you know, and do you know what? Yeah, if there's one team I want to rely on in that competition, it's Real Madrid.
Fairs.
Um, but at
I
the end of the
agree.
day, like I think City are a much better team than Real Madrid, but they've got that juju in that competition, man. Like
Mm.
something booky always happens with Madrid. Something they always get like I don't know, they'll be 2-0 down and they'll bring it back and then win 3-2 in extra time or something crazy.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
feel like there's like a psychological barrier there for not just City but for Pep as well. So um, if I'm being brutally honest, I do think they'll win the treble just because I think they're the strongest team left in all 3 competitions. But I really, really hope Real Madrid have a plan for me, man. Or United listen, man. The Champions League's inevitability is happening. If United can spoil the treble at Wembley, I'd be happy with that as well.
No, that would kill me, man. That would be a sour end to the season.
that's crazy, man. Bro, certain man are watching this season uncomfortably. Arsene Wenger, Sir Alex Ferguson. I mean, Liverpool fans. Because yeah, as you said, a three-peat. That'll be 5 out of 6 seasons City won the Prem.
It
You
would be
know,
if we won
in
it
this
this
Maybe
in
we're the
season.
this
farmers, bro.
in this Liverpool City era, apparently City would have had it 5 out of 6 times. And Erling Haaland debut. I mean, look, if Erling Haaland scores, we don't even need. He scored enough goals to be fair. If he
Ballon
wins
d'Or.
the Prem on top of the goals he scored, yeah. Certain strikers are looking at that as well. Like, bruh, what is that? Is that what he's doing?
No, they're shook.
Henri, Van
Yeah.
Nistelrooy
Do you know
might be
who's going to be
looking.
wanting to top himself? Harry Kane, bruv.
Yeah,
Well, to me, if we signed Kane instead of Haaland, I mean, I reckon he could get probably not as many as Haaland, but not too far off.
I
yeah.
agree. I agree.
Yeah,
No, I disagree. I
Nah, I
disagree.
think I think. I think maybe he'd have got like 7 or 8 goals less, but he'd have been feasting on the assists as well. I think.
yeah.
Yeah,
I could see him getting 30 goals in this Man City team in the league.
Yeah.
yeah. He'll get 30.
I think even at United, he's hitting like 25, 26, to be completely honest. And they don't even create anywhere near as much as City do. But I just think if he's at a team where they have an idea of how they want to play, which I don't think Spurs have had since Pochettino, I think he feasts, man. Like he's so good, and he's so silently having a good season again. Maybe there's the question again, like where has he been in the big moments, which is fair, but like it's Tottenham at the end of the day. Like, a big moment for them's top four. So
Yeah, which they're bottling because
yeah, it's good segue. We can
at
go on to that.
home, at home lost to Bournemouth 3-2. Crazy. What actually is the issue genuinely with Spurs? Because I mean, it's two managers now. This season they've had, and they're getting the same results. Obviously, Stellini's not going to be a difference from Conte, but you would expect the new manager bounce. Fifth in the league still, so obviously outside Kane, there's clearly some okay quality there, but yeah, Mukz, I'll come to you first. To be fair, man, what do you reckon it is with Spurs? Like in terms of last season, they're coming fourth, and everyone's saying they're going to be the closest challengers to Liverpool and City next year. And now look, they're fifth. I mean, look, it's not all lost, but you look at the games they got left to come. They've got to go Liverpool. They've got to go Man United. Aston Villa even is going to be a tough game for them. Newcastle, you don't see them really getting the fourth place.
Some tough games, man.
Yeah, man. How do you analyze Spurs? Like, what do you reckon it is with them, which is just so bad? Man.
I mean, injuries haven't helped. I mean, to lose Bentancur for however long he's out for, that's a big blow. He's a top quality midfielder, and they're far better when he does play. And I also do think it's the lack of signings like that. They haven't like taken to the Premier League. Like Basuma, we all thought he'd be a world beater a couple of years ago when he got that move to a Big 16. Just hasn't come off him. Richarlison hasn't even scored a goal, and if there's just the over reliance on Kane to be putting the chances away. And to be fair, other than Son, who's not even creating as much as he usually does, there's just a lack of chance creation in this team. Like you don't know who the goals are going to come from. If Kulusevski's not playing, you don't know where the goals are coming from. There's no goals in their midfield. Their midfield is pants. There's no goals in there. There's no attacking threat. Defensively, it's not so bad with Højbjerg, but you don't know where their goals coming from if Kane's not scoring. And Son's having a bad season, which is just highlighting that even further.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Louie, I mean, what do you make of that?
There's so many things I could say about Tottenham. I'm not going to lie. Like, I don't actually think the window, like I said it at the time, I don't think the window was that bad. I just think the way Conte used the squad was a bit strange. I mean, they signed Richarlison, who, if you get him up front, is a decent enough player. We've seen that in the World Cup. We've seen that for Everton, but he's never gonna start ahead of Kane. They've brought Danjuma in, who obviously scored the other day. Why has he not been getting more minutes? He's proven a couple times when I've seen him play that he's got the skill set that they need. Kulusevski got obviously that horrible injury and came back, and he's not been the same player. Like Mukz said, Bentancur, huge miss. I just think the defense is really, really poor. Like we've touched on the pod before, Christian Romero being overrated. Obviously made the mistake for Bournemouth's, I don't know if it was their first or their second goal, but made the mistake being over aggressive. I feel like he's a typical Argentinian centre back in the fact that like he's just really, really overly aggressive. Like sometimes there's no need to slide in like that or make a challenge. Like just see him down the line. Eric Dyer, like how if that's any other club other than maybe United, he's gone. Like why are you standing for such mediocrity just because he has one good game every three? Davinson Sanchez, I felt a little bit bad for him because he got subbed on, made a mistake, and then obviously got subbed off and he was crying. But bro, like that guy is tired, man. He's been there what, like 5-6 years, and have we ever seen him have a good game? They spent so long chasing Alessandro Bastoni from Inter Milan. Great player. They had no plan B. They ended up getting Longley, who again is dead. Like I just don't see. I don't see what their plan is, man. Like they signed Porro in January, and he's already looking like a waste of money. Like I don't know. I feel like they've now kind of forced themselves into this three at the back thing as well. Like if a new manager comes in, they kind of have to play three at the back because they don't have full backs; they have wing backs. So it's really poor planning from the club. I mean, they got Conte in, and Conte's done what he normally does, where he's left it in like a weird state, but he hasn't done what he normally does in terms of delivering trophies. But it kind of feels like they do this all the time where they get a manager, they kind of half back him, and then when the going gets tough, they don't actually back him. Like they did it with Pochettino. Originally, they gave him good enough funds, and then they left it for a couple seasons. I know they had the stadium. Mourinho, like they let him bring in some of his own players. Got to a cup final, which is Mourinho's bread and butter. Incredible record in cup finals, and then sack him, which is one of the most ludicrous decisions I've ever seen from any football club. Just give him the cup final and then sack him afterwards if he loses, bruv. Like, why are you bringing in Ryan Mason before a cup final? And then Conte, I don't see the damage in just leaving him there for the rest of the season. Like,
obviously, he did what he did, didn't he, with the press conference? And
he
everyone
did
was kind
what
of
he did. He did what he did, but you've got Stellini, who's basically his brother anyway. So, like, you're better with the devil that you know in these situations sometimes. If you're going to sack him, sack his bro as well and bring in someone into him. Like, get some new ideas. Like, that's like me. I don't know. It's just weird, bro. It's just weird. They're such a weird club.
No, it is weird.
Yeah, they're just bare weird. I think Daniel Levy maybe needs to step aside from the whole football thing, because like he's obviously an amazing businessman. I mean that stadium is like beautiful, creme de la creme, and it makes amazing NFL games, amazing tour stadium for Beyonce, but ultimately, you know, they're a football club and they're not being run like one. So I don't know, man. Maybe it's time for him to kind of step aside and kind of just do these little business deals that he's good at and allow someone, you know, to do who knows football to do what they need to do.
Do you know, I'm not a big fan of that. I hate sacking managers at the end of the season. To me, it doesn't make any sense because whoever you're going to get in doesn't know the team as well as, or if they're going to go with the interim, I don't get what the interim is going to offer you that what Stellini is going to offer them that Conte couldn't. Obviously, I hear it with like press and the way it is, but sometimes you just got to swallow your pride. If you're serious about making it into the top four, I don't think it makes sense to appoint Stellini and sack Conte, especially when, to be fair, then they're not too far off it. Like it's still, if you was to tell me now at the end of the season Tottenham make top four, I wouldn't be totally surprised by that.
Yeah, I agree.
To get rid of Conte and even just sacking manager at the end of the season, I'm not a fan of it, man. I really don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. They were in touching distance of top four. I agree. The interim thing, it's impossible for it to work because say you get a situation like Di Matteo, you go win the Champions League. Okay, cool. You appoint this manager because the vibes are good, and he's just going to come crashing down. And then on the other hand, if it doesn't work, you're just looking at it right now, like with Chelsea and like with Spurs, and saying, why did we get rid of them? Like, why did we get rid of Potter? Why did we get rid of Conte? We may as well just kept him. So I agree. I think what teams should do more is just come out and, I don't know, make a statement. Say at the end of this, they should have addressed the Conte thing. To be fair, man, it was bait. You weren't going to stay for the whole season, but they just cut teeth.
Did they need to make more noise out of the situation than was already made? Like, Conte said what he said. He's probably right in what he said. And, like, obviously I come from an Italian background. He's fucking Italian, bro. He's going to say what he thinks. Like, they don't bite
He was out of order for that because he was trying to distance himself from the club.
Of course.
It's you as well, Conte.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That's what I did. Like, he's dodging responsibility a bit there.
Yeah.
And obviously, I hear him. What are you saying? I mean, if we look at it objectively, it probably is mostly factual, but there's a time and a place, and there's a manner of going about it as well. I just think it was very unprofessional the way you went around it.
Yeah, I agree. I just think there should have been an internal conversation. You know, whoever the powers that be, Levy, whoever, should have just gone to Conte and said, look, man, do what we need to do at the end of the season. Levy even could have gone and said to him, like, if you get Champions League, I will pay you for the last 6 months of your contract rather than sacking you now. I'll give you the payout at the end of the season if you get us Champions League. Rather than just sacking him, paying him off, and then getting Stellini in, you know, just say to him, at the end of the season, I'll give you your 6 months that we would have sacked you in, you know, we're going to get the revenue for Champions League. And that would have given Conte the motivation perhaps to do what he needed to do. But I feel like he ostracized himself. The club ostracized himself from him. There was like a really awful breakup. But they committed so much time into two similar managers now, Mourinho and Conte, and neither of them have worked out. So Spurs need to go back to doing what Spurs do, not really winning anything, but playing some nice football and developing some good young players. Like that's what Spurs are good at, man. That's what they've done over the years, and I think the fans would be fine with that. Like I don't necessarily think selling your soul to try and chase a Carabao Cup and then never actually winning it is what Spurs fans want. I think they would take Pochettino 9 times out of 10. I think they would take coming second with Pochettino 9 times out of 10 and winning the Carabao Cup with Antonio and Conte.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I mean, coming second isn't easy, bro. You know, he's got.
It isn't easy. It isn't easy
to compete with. I think they're stuck in between a rock and a hard place, to be honest, man. Because like, you know, if you say to a Spurs fan, "Oh, go back to the old days," in their head they'll be like, "Yeah," and then once you actually go back to the old days where you're everyone's second favorite team, kind of like how maybe Newcastle kind of are at the moment.
Nah, fuck that.
And Spurs fans are like, "Where's the trophies?" You know, because Arsenal are bantering us all the time, Man United are bantering us, like, so yeah, they definitely need some sort of. I mean, even the whole Kane thing, I think, just end that relationship this summer. Like, it's not on both parties. Kane deserves to actually win trophies, and like, you never know. These situations, you could even come off better for it. Sometimes,
do you think they'll allow him to go?
I'm actually kind of doubtful it's even going to happen. I'm not going to lie. I don't. Like, Man United is the obvious one because it just. History tells us that's what Man United do. They sign the best British player, but I just don't. I think he's going to cost bare. I think he's going to be such an injury concern for United. I think they'll be looking. I think they'll rather get Osimhen, to be honest with you. So
Osimhen's just as much as an injury concern, to be honest. But
yeah, but Osimhen's only 25.
Yeah. I think the way Ten Hag will look at it is, you know, we can bring in a guy who guarantees output. Although I said this about Alexis Sanchez, so football's a funny game. This might not happen, but the way he looks at it is, you know, we bring this guy in. He's guaranteed to score goals. He's going to get the best out of Rashford, and he's going to get the best out of, you know, young players like Garnacho, perhaps. You know, them crosses into the box and them through ball passes that Bruno loves to do. It's going to get the best out of him. So I feel like it just makes sense, but sometimes something makes too much sense. If you get what I mean, it's a weird thing in life where sometimes something makes too much sense and then it happens and it just doesn't work. So I don't know, like I kind of agree, man. I feel like it's a weird one. I feel like on paper, if Kane goes there, you're expecting 25, 30 goals, and then something happens where it just never clicks. But I think he's
got a really weird feeling that it wouldn't even work out. I don't know why.
I disagree with that, man. I think Kane scores goals no matter where he's at. I think he's just got that in him. Like, he'll score goals anywhere. But on the topic of him leaving, I don't really see it happening. I feel like if it was going to happen, it was going to be that summer when we was relentlessly pursuing him. And if there was ever a time for him to leave, it would have been then. And now that ship sailed, I don't know where he's going to go, man. I don't know, to be honest, who would pay the money for him at this stage. I mean, a lot of teams are really looking for a striker, but I don't know. I don't see them paying what Tottenham would want for him.
I think there's two clubs who would, but only one. In fact, I don't even know if Spurs would sell to United. I think Spurs fans wouldn't care as much if he went to United, but I think Chelsea would be willing to spend the money on him, but I don't think that will ever happen. But they would be willing to spend the money if Kane was open to the move, they'd spend the money. And then there's United. And there's been rumours about Bayern Munich as well, but I think he wants Shearer's record, so I can't see that happening. So I think United are the only ones with the financial power, the clout, and the willingness to do it. But, you know, I think if the takeover happened, like now, if the takeover happened now, and Qatar or whoever was buying it had the funds to do it in the summer, they'd do it. But I can't see the Glazers dipping 120 million in their pockets for someone like that who's near 30.
Is that how much you reckon it'd take to get him?
I think 120 million, I think.
You know what, yeah, we've all said, like, the money's an issue with Kane. And I just said I've got a weird feeling that if he went to United, I don't think it'd work out. But I think everyone kind of actually deep down thinks the same thing, because why is the money going to be an issue, to be fair? If you sign Kane for 120 million, you got to get like what really actually is the issue there?
If
Like
he guarantees #21, I'm paying 500 million.
500 mil.
I swear that
Yeah,
if he guarantees title
because
21, I'm paying 500 million.
as much, as much as he's 30 years old, he's not really showing crazy. For me, he's showing a little bit of signs of wear and tear, but he's not showing crazy signs. Like I don't
Yeah, I
know.
hear
I,
you.
I genuinely think it's. I think it made a lot of sense a few years ago. I'm not sure right now. Honestly, I look at Martial up front for United, yeah, and he's not the same player as Kane, but they're both target men, kind. I mean, focal
He's
point.
just not reliable though, man.
He's not reliable, but
But
I
he's a
just
great
feel
player. I agree.
I genuinely feel like he makes your system when you got Rashford, him, and Anthony. I think he makes
Yeah,
your
I
system
agree.
fluid, man.
I agree. I
Such
agree.
a
It's
shame
I,
the
just
way
not.
his career's panned out, man. Martial, such a
Mm.
shame.
yeah,
Yeah, I seen an interesting debate though with Adam McCullough said it. I feel like he's United's best striker of the last 10 years, which is like a crazy thing to think about. But when you look at the options, there's only really
RVP.
him. There's only RVP was 2013. That's 10 years ago now.
Or wasn't he still there 2014 or
Yeah,
he
but he
was.
kind of he kind of
he
he
kind
kind
of
of
fell up a little bit?
yeah, it kind of fell off. So like in the sort of Van Gaal, Mourinho, Moyes, um, Ten Hag, Oli era, I think Martial, like Ibra done his thing for like 8 to 9 months, and then obviously Ronaldo had a couple of months but didn't win anything. Um, I think Martial's probably, strangely his career's not
That's
gone how we
crazy.
expected, but I think
He actually is up
he's the
there.
best striker. Yeah, I think he's the best striker of the last 10 years that we've had, which is crazy to think. And I've always said it, like even when he wasn't scoring goals, like I think he's a great player, and I think he makes us play so much better. But it's just he's never fit, man. And it's really annoying because I've had to watch Weghorst for so long, bro, and I just know Martial's hamstring is going to snap any minute. So it's just annoying, man.
Very unreliable player. Yeah, I mean that is interesting. I mean, United have not had. I think there was a thing where Martial got a hat trick a few years ago against Sheffield United in a lockdown game. That was like United's first hat trick since Van Persie got that hat
Yeah,
trick on the final day against Villa. United have not had scorers, man. So yeah, I think that need whether it's Martial staying fit or whether it's getting a new striker, which is probably the smarter option.
I
United
think
needs.
both need to happen, to be honest, because
Yeah,
again, if they're in four competitions again next year, which I think Ten Hag keeps saying we're Man United, we need to win every game, which is true. If they want to be there with City, if they want to be there with Arsenal going forward, if they want to be there even with a couple other teams in Europe, I think they need Martial fit, and they probably need um, a striker, and to be honest, they might even need a third striker because
wow.
um, I know City obviously have Alvarez and Haaland, and then Arsenal have Jesus and Nketiah. But to be honest, Arsenal could probably do with like a third striker as well. I mean, Balogun's coming through. Like I think if you want to be in all four competitions, you need one main striker, and then you need two other strikers who can play 20 games and get you sort of 7 to 15 goals as well in all comps. Um,
Okay. Three
and
strikers. I mean,
I don't know
three
if you
number
need
nines.
three
What?
strikers.
Three strikers or two strikers and one striker who can play sort of on the left or on the right, or I guess Rashford can do that, so maybe not, but someone
You just
who
need
along that forward
goals
line.
from out wide. Yeah, I'd say two strikers, like a main striker, backup striker, and
Mm,
maybe like someone on the bench who can like contribute goals from midfield
mm,
or maybe from out wide, or someone just to play like
yeah,
20 games a season.
mm, yeah. I was more so thinking like because I have a feeling they're probably going to get Weghorst as a third striker, so just fucking some big lump to bring
He
off the
wouldn't be
bench or
bad to
something.
have around, to be fair.
I agree,
I think he's
and
a
I don't
productive
think he's.
player.
Yeah, I don't think he's good, but I just think he's like the other day. The second goal that happened. A lot of that's down to him. And I know it sounds like you're forcing it a bit, but he was the one who made the run, which dragged. I think it was near Kate. It dragged them across, and then Anthony could drive and play the through ball through to Dallo. So he's the one who made the run across. So he's not directly contributing to the goal, but I think he's a smart player and a smart guy. So having him around as a third choice striker, even to bring on, in the Carabao Cup or in the FA Cup if you're playing like a championship team, I think he's not a bad player to have around as well. Yeah.
Nah, he's doing what Holding does, bro. Like You know, when someone's just a nice guy to have around, yeah, and they step into a few games, and it's like, okay, yeah, keep him. I don't know. Sign him, cool, be his first choice striker, bro.
I
Tell
think
you,
it's
when you're playing Wickham in the League Cup next year and he's just doing foolishness, bro, you'll be like, why do we do this? Like, just like with
not.
Igalo, you lot had
Yeah,
that.
I know football's changed, but I think it's the United I fell in love with. Always had 3 or 4 good strikers. I know that was the 4-4-2 era, but then even when Fergie started playing 4-3-3, we had Berbatov, we had Tevez, we had Hernandez, Welbeck. We had 3 or 4 guys who would contribute. So maybe it's just me, man,
Yeah.
with the United with.
Well, the main thing I think for United is they need more reliable sources of goals outside of Rashford.
True.
Um, Fair
Bruno
play to
pops up. Bruno pops up with a odd goal.
Yeah, but obviously he's playing deeper now, so he's not really
Mm.
going to get into scoring positions as much, unless obviously set pieces. He's a threat.
He's been great recently, by the way. I think he's
Yeah,
been.
he's quality. He's one of the most overhated players in the Premier League. I think
Completely agree.
he's quality.
I completely
Yeah,
agree. I can see why he winds people up. I can really see it, especially as someone who, if you don't support United, a lot of people hate United. Again, I see why. So I get why you'd hate Bruno, but for me, I think he's matured a lot this season. He gets a lot of stick because I feel like him and as well. I don't rate De Gea, but I think again him and De Gea are just very very easy scapegoats, and Maguire as well. I think them three are just such easy scapegoats. Um, so I feel like when things go great, everyone's like, oh yeah, they don't give Bruno credit. But when things go poor, they're like, oh, he's waving his arms around and he looks like he's crying and stuff like that. But like we've seen it, he's played this season. He's number 10. He's great in that position. He's played as a number 8. He even played as a 6 the other day. He's played on the left. He's played on the right, and the performances have been fine. He's done what's expected of him, and he's got the responsibility of being a captain as well. And if United win another trophy this year, 2 trophies in the bag as his first season as a captain, you can't complain about that.
Yeah, I think there is still a bit of room to complain. It's the mannerism, the way he carries himself that I'm not really drawn to. He's your club captain, and he's just always huffing and puffing, and just he's not a leader of men. I don't know what he's like, obviously in the change room or whatever, but he's not someone that you look at and see, yeah, that's captain material. Do you know what I mean? Even Odegaard looks like he's captain material. Just not even through like being a voice or whatever, but just through example. You look at Man City, our captain is Gundogan, the leader through example, and we had David Silva before and company before that. And if you talk about great Man United captains before, he's not in a similar ilk to any of them. So I don't know why he's got the armband. I'm not a fan of that.
who do you think should have it then?
You know what? I'd give it to Rashford. I'd give it to
Wow.
Rashford because he's the main man. He's the man that gets most of the stick other than Bruno, when things go wrong, and he's got that kind of captain feel about him, and I feel like he could really grow into that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I just really like Rashford.
Yeah,
I hear that, but I compare that kind of to like Ronaldo and Messi, though. They were never really captains for their clubs, but they were obviously like their
but Messi's captain for Argentina.
national team's different. Your best player is your captain, but I mean,
Yeah.
Messi only became captain of Barca once everyone had gone. Xavi,
True.
Iniesta, and all them. Man.
I think I don't know what his English is saying, but maybe Casemiro. But I mean, to me, I said even when Ronaldo was there, I think Bruno should be captain. Because yeah, he's a bit of a bitch, and I understand what you're saying in terms of like he's not the typical Man United captain. Like he's not a
we're
Roy
allowed
Keane.
to swear. I'll
Yeah,
put on the filter for this.
Yeah. Go wild, man.
Anyways.
Yeah, like he's a bit of a bitch. I get that. He's not a Roy Keane. He's not a Gary Neville. He's not a Rio Ferdinand. He's not Eric Cantona. He's not a Brian Robson. These guys who were very ultra professional, ultra men. But I mean, I think football's changed a little bit. I think the club's changed a little bit. I've been saying for years I want to get away from this whole, this United DNA bullshit that's been going on. Like, where we have to play a certain way and we have to have wingers who are just marathon runners, and you have to play blood and guts counter-attacking football. Like, I think things change. You have to freshen it up. Obviously, you've still got to keep your ethos there. You still got to keep the main sort of ethos there. But I think, I think Bruno, yeah. I think if you were going to replace him, the only person I'd do it for is Casemiro, but I don't even think he speaks English, so,
Yeah, it's
so you
true.
can't really do that. Some guy shouting about Hermanos and that on the pitch to Shaw and Rashford.
Yeah.
The
United
streets
have
are
had so
saying
much like,
he's had a nose job. I wouldn't make him my captain if he's had a nose job.
True,
yeah,
true. Imagine
nah,
Roy Keane with a nose job.
Nah, it makes no
yeah, no way,
sense.
no way. But yeah, I was saying because United have had so many players come and go. Yeah, like you ain't really had one guy who's been there for time. And you can just say, yeah, that's the captain. I mean, I remember when Maguire got the captaincy, I was shocked to be honest, man, because I was like, this guy's been here for 3 months, bro, and he's captain. Like the highest level he's played so far, apart from the World Cup, is with Leicester, man.
Yeah, that was crazy. I'm not gonna lie, and
Yeah,
I feel like if he didn't get given the captaincy, he'd have actually probably done better in the United shirt. I think the
yeah.
whole like giving him, it's like he signed for 80 million and he just got given the captaincy because he was signed for that much money. So
So
I
I
kind
felt
of
like
feel like that
shocking.
hindered him.
Well, you reckon that's just shone an extra spotlight on him that he probably
Yeah,
didn't need?
yeah, I think that's exactly what it's done.
No, I hear it, but I feel like that's more of like a hindsight type of thing. Because at the time,
Yeah, of
well,
course.
to me at least, it made sense. Like a big commanding centre back. Like it just felt like football heritage. A big commanding British 6'5" centre back. That's your captain. He's the one that comes out and he's loud. He's vocal on the pitch. He does the post match interviews and so on and so forth. It made sense to me, but now with hindsight, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, of course. Hindsight's 2020 with everything, of course. But I mean, at the time, again, I was with you. I kind of understood it. I kind of supported it, and I looked at the squad at the time, and I didn't see that many leaders. Um, Whereas yeah, even now, I don't see that many leaders. I mean, Casemiro, um, Varane is a leader, but he's not someone who you look at and you command respect from. You respect the career he's had, but you don't sort of. He's not like a vocal captain. De Gea's been there a while. I guess outside of Bruno, it's Casemiro, and then Rashford leads by in terms of his mentality and his willingness to get goals, and the fact that he's a young lad. But other than that, yeah, I don't see many leaders, not as many leaders as what Man City have, perhaps, or you know that great Liverpool team in the last 5 years. They're a pitch all over the pitch. They have leaders. So yeah,
Yeah,
sorry man, that's
to
the spray thing keeps going off.
it's
Yeah, it's
calm.
cool.
Yeah, to be honest, yeah. Well, if you say that all, it kind of makes sense for Bruno to be captain. But I agree, Mux. The petulancy of Bruno is what just puts you off
Stinks,
him, man.
stinks.
Mm.
Yeah, like the thing. Obviously, you can't forget what we did at Anfield that game. Just stop running. Your captain can never do that. But who else? Who
I
else?
think
You're not.
that whole situation was a little bit over dramatized.
Nah, it
Um,
wasn't. It wasn't, man.
I
Like
think
you
it
can't do
was. I think it was.
Maybe a
what other
bit
player
over
was.
dramatized, but there's merit in some of that. Like it makes sense why it was made such a big deal
Mm.
out of, because that's really bad. Like that is bad.
The way I look at it is right. If he stops running, then that says something about the rest of them because he is the only player who does not normally stop running, and he plays every minute of every single game. So for me, he's there every game. He runs. He plays his heart out. He obviously cares. Like you can tell on the pitch, he cares. So if he in that situation has given up, what the fuck are the rest of them done?
Yeah, obviously, clearly given up. But
I
again,
mean,
it's just similar
yeah,
to the
I
Conte
feel
thing,
like you can
kind
look
of,
at it from
man.
two
You're on
sides.
that pitch as well. You're
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really see much. I mean, don't want to go into a whole section of this, but like, yeah, how can you defend that, man? You stopped running, bro. Like,
That day is erased from my memory, to be honest. So
yeah, I mean, it was a strange day at the office for sure. Strange day. All right, we'll touch on the relegation battle because it's got interesting again, man. Nottingham Forest, who looked like they were at one point, shout out Ralph, but he said he used them as an example for Chelsea in terms of them turning around. But I mean, they're back in the bottom three. Leicester, I mean, lost to Man City, 25 points for them,
I
and
think they might be
Southampton.
done. You know,
Hmm?
I think Southampton are done.
Definitely,
I think Leicester might be done. You know.
yeah. I mean,
That don't make sense to me though, man.
I agree, bro.
Leicester being out of the Premier League.
I agree, bro. And I mean, like, I was looking earlier at the top scorers because everyone was doing their team of the seasons and stuff like that, and I was looking at the top scorers just to get like refresh my memory in case I missed someone. And I'm seeing Harvey Barnes on 10 goals and James Maddison on 10 goals, and I'm thinking you got two players who have scored 10 goals. I think Maddison had 9 actually.
Barnes has
Maddison,
10 this
yeah,
season.
yeah. Harvey Barnes has 10 goals and Maddison has 9 goals, and yet they're in the relegation zone. And I think that's crazy.
No,
I
Madison was class
didn't know Barnes had
before
10
the
goals.
World Cup. That's why I remember everyone was making such a big fuss about him being left out of the squad for the World Cup. He was on fire. I had him in my FPL team as well. He was going crazy.
Yeah, but Barnes 10 goals, 1 assist. Madison 9 goals, 6 assists, and they're in the bottom 2.
But
I feel
outside
like
of
if
that,
Leicester go down, they're probably one of the best teams in Premier history to have gone down. Look at the likes of the players they've got. Like Ndidi, it wasn't 18 months ago we was talking about him as one of the best DMs in the league. Tielemans, he was getting touted for moves to some of the biggest clubs in Europe. He was definitely linked with Man City, and to be fair, I probably wouldn't mind taking him at City. Ricardo Pereira, I feel like I'm so sad about the injury. This guy would have been right up there in terms of Premier League right backs had he not been injured. The guy scores bangers for fun. And
Yeah.
if they go down, it just, I don't know, man. It just makes that Schmeichel move look 10 times worse as well.
Yeah, and as well, like James Justin getting called up for England. I mean, shout out to Luton boy. Like he would have been. If we go up, I'm taking him all day long. I don't care about the injuries. But again, he picked up some crazy injuries, and he was looking like, he was playing left back, right back. He even slotted into the back three, and he was playing excellent pre the Euros. Got injured, and then was playing really well. Got in an England squad, and then dropped off. Another one with a Luton link, Kieran Dewsbury Hall. Good player. I think they've got so much talent there. I mean, Vardy's coming towards the twilight end of his career, so you can't rely on him that much. I think Iheanacho is a good player, man. I think they've got guys who are capable, and I think they've got guys who if some of the top 10, 15 teams pick up if they go down, will be really, really valuable assets to these teams. But for some reason, they're just, I don't know, it reminds me of that West Ham team of I think 2000. Dodzi, you might know because you're a bit of a historian. 2005,
02-03 season.
02-03, 02-03. I was
Look
a
at
bit
that
off.
football knowledge.
Yeah, yeah. They had obviously Carrick. They had Defoe. They had such a good team.
Yeah,
and they went down.
Yeah,
That
this is
reminds
right
me of
up
the Leicester team.
This is right up there, bro. I can't think of as much as I don't rate this Leicester team in terms of the scale of the league right now. It's like, yeah, I mean, Maddison, Barnes, Tielemans, and Ndidi. It's the same players that were literally at game 38 2 seasons ago. Well, bottled the top 4. Like they bottled top 4 on the last day, right? Imagine they got top 4 of Champions League, spend the money, who knows? So it's their defense, man. There's zero quality in their defense. I mean, there's
Yes,
quality going forward, but there's no quality in their defense. You're playing Amate in the back. I mean, he didn't play the other day.
Face and Suter.
Fake David Luiz, he's not here.
No, admittedly, I haven't paid a lot of attention to Leicester's matches and this season in general. What's Johnny Evans saying? Like, is he injured or?
I think I was I was bored at work the other day, so I was looking at all the press conferences and stuff, and I think Dean Smith was saying like, he wants him to be back, but he's not fully fit at the moment. But he's someone they could do with being back.
That's what they're missing, man.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's top. I think he's good, man.
He's the Irish John Stones.
Yeah, similar, man, and he's experienced. He's been there. He's never played outside of the Premier League. Like he's got like what 10, 11, 12 seasons now in the Premier League. He's a Premier League winner.
He's been down before. To be fair, though,
he did go down before, but then he got the move straight to Leicester, and it looked like a masterstroke.
Yeah,
that season they got him. So that they need that experience because at the back they've got, as you said, Face is the fake David Luiz, Harry Suter's the fake Harry Maguire. They've got like the B-Tech Maguire and the B-Tech David Luiz at the back. They need that experience of Johnny Evans, man.
Yeah, they do. I remember when Evans was linked with like Arsenal, City, I think maybe United as well, and everyone was like, "What are we doing?" Look at
he
Evans.
is heavily linked with City. I think he might have even been at West Brom then.
Yeah,
West Brom, and
because he had the relegation clause, didn't he, for $4.5 million?
Yeah, and then for a bit, him and Maguire, and then him and
I would
Fafana
have
were like
loved
the
him.
best centre back pairs in the league. But yeah, 25 points for them. West Ham, I mean, they might be all right now, to be fair.
I
They're
think they
4 points
were right.
above. 4 points above. But
Mm.
it's Leeds who are leaking in the goals 6-1 today.
They're going
And
down, bro.
Leeds going down?
Yeah, I think Southampton, Leicester, and Leeds. I think Forest will just have enough. Um, but I think Leeds are gone. They're conceding too many goals and not scoring enough.
Yeah. If you think about like who's going to get you a goal for Leeds, you can't even name anyone.
Yeah,
Bamford previously, but not anymore.
But
Gnonto.
the
Wolves.
thing is about Bamford is that statistically he's been good. Like when he can get on the pitch, I think he's running. I saw some stats that he's running at XG of like 0.6 per 90, which is
Mm.
if he could muster up like a good like injury record, like not being out for so many games, I think he'd be a more than reliable enough goal scorer for them, and he probably kept them up like he did their first season in.
Probably, yeah. I mean, he's he's had them injury problems for like 2 years now, so they need to. They've had
Mm.
Rodrigo. I mean, how many goals has he got?
He's got 11 goals.
He's got 11 goals as well.
He's
So
probably scored like -1 since 2023, in it.
Yeah,
yeah,
Ill
I
kid in
think
the
yeah,
beginning.
he's got 11 goals, which is how many goals do they even have in the league? They've got 40 goals in total, but they've conceded 60. They've conceded the most in the league,
jeez.
and they've conceded like apart from Bournemouth, no one is really that close.
Mm,
Leicester on 55, but Bournemouth on 59 and Leeds on 60. So, and they've only scored 40 goals. But I feel like the goals they have scored, they scored them in flutters. So they'll score like 2 or 3 in a game, and then they won't score for like 3 or 4. Whereas I feel like West Ham, Bournemouth, Wolves, when these teams are scoring goals at the moment, they're scoring goals that are getting them points.
Yeah. Can we
yeah,
talk about Bournemouth, because if they
Incredible,
avoid the drop, this might be one of the best like
incredible, yeah.
remontadas I've ever seen. I
yeah,
was damn certain it was going down like maybe 2 months ago.
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, I think the January investment they got, obviously, is it Michael J. Fox was involved in that?
Michael B. Jordan.
Michael
Michael
B.
B.
Jordan,
Jordan.
sorry, who the hell's
Yeah.
Michael J. Fox, bro? Michael B. Jordan. Sorry, I ain't with these American dons, but yeah, Michael B. Jordan. Yeah, obviously they got their investment from like an American investment firm, and they signed Uatara, who has
Ouattara
been good for them.
Dango.
Yeah. He scored the third goal the other day against Spurs, so he's been a good signing. So they've had some good enough investment, but they didn't have much at the beginning of the season, so they kind of made up for it in January. But I agree, man. They've done a great job. Gary O'Neill has silently done a very very good job with that team. But I think he's the youngest. I think he's either the youngest or the second youngest manager in the league.
Mm,
One of the only English managers in the league, and he's doing a good job at Bournemouth.
incredible, yeah. I mean, first few games, 9-0, had that 9-0, had the 3-0 against us. And who was their manager before
Scott
Gary Neal?
Parker. Scott
Scott
Parker.
Parker, yeah. Out of their
Bozo
equation.
manager, man.
Yeah, he is not a great manager.
I didn't, and that's another one whose sacking I wasn't really a fan of either at the beginning
I
of the
wasn't either.
season. I think what they
Yeah,
they they got one win out of 3 games, and the other 3 games were against, like, I think it was Liverpool, Man City, and Arsenal, and they'd lost all of those, and they sacked him as if those were games that they were expected to get anything from in the first place.
Mm.
yeah,
I
I
didn't back that,
agree.
but I mean it's worked out in their favor now, I guess.
Mm.
Yeah,
And it looked like they were going to get like an experienced manager through the door. Ended up going with Gary O'Neill, who was, it worked the opposite to how Stellini's working with Conte. They got Scott Parker's assistant, but the difference is with Stellini, he doesn't really know the club. Gary O'Neill knows the club. He's played for Bournemouth. He's played in the Premier League as well, so he knows the league, and he's been in and around them relegation battles as well, so he knows what it takes to be in and around them relegation battles. So maybe his experience, and I think with some of these younger managers, we're seeing more and more of them now. I think the players have changed, and I think they can resonate more with these younger guys more than these older guys. So I think sometimes they come in and they can relate to these young managers more, and it's kind of like having rather than having like a grandfather or a father figure, they've got kind of someone who's like an uncle who's like similar to their age, maybe a little bit older, but has been there and done that and can give their experience to him. Which is why we're seeing more and more young managers across the whole of Europe, not just in England. And it's working, man. Obviously, Luton as well. We've got a young manager, Rob Edwards, who's done really well. So I think these players nowadays with their young managers, I think they can relate. And I think that's what Gary O'Neill's done really well. I think he's gone in there and he's sort of said, I've got experience as a player of these situations. I'm not experienced as a coach, but I've got some knowledge for you. And I think they've responded well to that.
Yeah, it must be that. I mean, yeah, obviously the team top of the league at the moment has a youngest manager in the... Well, yeah, one of him or Gary O'Neill.
I think he's Arteta's the youngest.
Yeah, I think so. But obviously, other end of the spectrum, oldest manager gets in and 3 wins in a row. Palace look like they're safe.
Local boys up the Eagles.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, now you're seeing like they've got quality in their squad, man.
Yeah, shout out Roy, man.
Yeah, shout out Roy.
I don't know how he's doing it.
On the assist table, he's got like 8 assists. He's up there with the assists as well.
What, Roy Hodgson?
Oh no, Elise. No, not Roy Hodgson.
If he kicked the ball, he'd probably die.
No, who did it? It was Ancelotti. He did a sick touch the other day against Chelsea.
I saw that's quality.
Cold.
Yeah, touch of the kick-ups quality.
Yeah, he's
crazy.
Cold.
Crazy.
Yeah. I know it's not really championship centered, but another like old manager who's come in is Huddersfield. Bruv, how's his name got out of my head, bruv? I was literally I can picture his face. How the hell have my mind gone blank?
Huddersfield.
He's Neil Warnock. How the hell has that man's name gone out of my head? Absolute legend has come in. Huddersfield were pretty much down and out in the championship. He's come in, 74 years old, I'm pretty sure, and he's turned it around. I think they've got like 6 wins from their last 8 games, including against Middlesbrough, who are obviously flying high. So look, these Brexit managers, man, they can come in sometimes, and I think people have a perception of them, these old British managers, that they play like boring football, but low key, man, they love these techie guys, man, like. Yeah. Warnock obviously had Taarabt at QPR. We've seen Allardyce when he had JJ Okocha. We've now seen Roy Hodgson come in and he's got Eze and Elise. These old British managers, man, they love someone who's techie and darker skinned than them in the team, man. Swear down.
Yeah, no, I mean they do seem to be getting the best out of them. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, they shore it up at the back, and then they let these flair guys do their thing, man.
Yeah, literally. So I think the blueprint is get a really young manager, get a really old manager. Don't get a manager in between because you're just gonna go nowhere, man. And then just above Palace, obviously, is Chelsea. You're so lucky. I don't know how they're on 39 points. They're so lucky for them first few games that what's his name? Tuchel had with them because they deserve to go down, bro.
Have you seen the form table since Tuchel's left?
Nah,
they must be right down there.
They're 17th.
Oh god.
Yeah, they're 17th. Since Tuchel's left, they're 17th in the form table.
Disgraceful season.
I'm of the opinion that next season Chelsea will be back, though. I feel like this is just one of those seasons you could write off. But people forget they've got Nkunku coming in the summer.
I'm so scared.
That is a big signing. That's a big guy who could completely transform their attack and give them their attack just looks so lifeless. No one looks like they can do anything. But I've seen him when he's played against City in the Champions League. He scored a hat-trick against us. He tore us a new one. I know the way he operates, the way he moves on the ball. He's dynamic. He's quick, and he's not like Felix who just dribbles for aesthetics. He dribbles to get a shot away or to slip somebody in. I think he might transform him around. Honestly,
I get what you're saying, and from what I've seen of him, he's a great player. But it's another one who Chelsea have signed recently. It's like he's not a striker, he's not a winger. He's like in between the two, like Havertz, like Felix, who just they have so many of these guys, and I just think Bowley's got no idea what he wants, who he wants to sign. I think he's just like he's gone on Football Manager, put young talents. and just like filtered it and just signed bare of them. Like they're signing bare. They signed Andre Santos,
Yeah, but
Um,
Scooby.
yeah, he ain't got a Scooby. They signed Chukwuemeka. They signed Datro Fofana. They signed all
Money
these bare.
Bushman's coming in the summer.
Yeah. They signed all these like young guys. Like I'm guarantee you now, Bowley's got a burner account on Twitter, and he goes on some Tactico's Twitter account and is like looking at these guys, yeah, and is like, I'm gonna sign them. So I don't know, man. I think the idea of them being back, I can see why you think that, but I just think like that such a shortfall of so many people coming and going in any business can't be healthy, man. Like as I said on the pod last week, I don't know if you've seen it, Mukz, but I would guarantee you now, half of them don't know each other by first names. Half the
Mm,
players. Like I
yeah.
guarantee you now, Mudryk could not tell you he could not tell you Kovacic's
Gallagher's
first name.
first name.
Yeah, he definitely couldn't tell you Gallagher's first name. No way. Probably thinks his name's James.
100%.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't see. Yeah, and Cuckoo's a good player, but I mean, he's still got a lot to prove himself. I mean, he's had a few decent seasons for Leipzig. Has he won anything? I'm not sure. Has he done anything significant for the country? I'm not really sure. So
No,
relying on him.
that's a bit of a harsh criticism to level at him. But he's playing with Leipzig, who, to be fair, they are on a decent title charge this season, and they might end up winning it. But
Yeah, I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm just saying to expect him to come and change the fortunes of the club. I don't know because like I swear I heard this about Sterling when he was going to come in. Oh, experienced winner from
oh,
City
not from me.
coming in.
I was happy to
Yeah,
see
exactly. I
Beckham.
mean,
With all due
those who
respect.
watch those who watch ball know, that was never really going to work. That signing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, to be fair,
Mudryk. I mean,
sorry, go on.
go on. Nah, I was going to say Mudryk fleeced us all. We all thought Mudryk. Oh, they've got one over Arsenal. Like, there's always a narrative around the Chelsea signs when they come in. Enzo's the best six in the best centre mid up and coming.
He's been alright, to be fair.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. These players aren't bad, but there's something rotten to the core of Chelsea. I can't like.
I don't know if
Mm.
it's something rotten. I just think it's a thing where there's too many faces and it's not long enough to bed them all in. I think eventually when everyone starts to get a bit more comfortable and they get a bit of the dead weight gone out of the club, I'm quite optimistic about what Chelsea's lineup could look like next season. And if they add to it in the summer, which no doubt they will, then it could be only up from there. I don't see how it can get worse than this season. And bear in mind, I'm not saying that Cuckoo's going to come in and they're going to make a push for the top four or something, but I reckon they'll be in and around the top six next season.
It's a bit of a circus, but one thing I will say about Chelsea, and I've always said, and maybe it stopped with Roman, but they normally they normally thrive in the chaos. They do. They normally thrive in the chaos. They
Yeah, but
normally
it's 2023 now, man,
and Roman's
as
gone as well.
huh?
And Roman's gone as well. So
Yeah,
you
like you've got teams who are settled now, bro. Villa,
yeah,
Brighton, who are
and
improving year on year.
you've
Newcastle,
you've
Arsenal.
got teams as well who know what direction they want to go in and what they want to do. That you've got Arsenal who know where they're going. You've got City who obviously know where they're going, and then you've got United now who have got a manager who I think the fans and the board and the whole club can get behind, and they know what they're going to be doing next year. They've already made plans for that. I think with Chelsea, they don't even know who their manager is. And then who's to say that the manager even wants half the guys who are there already? And then he's going to want his own guys, and then that might not work out, and then it might be another manager. And I feel like there's the three teams who are in the top three, as well as Newcastle, who know what direction they want to go in. And Newcastle are then even at a more advantageous position where they probably haven't spent what they can spend. So if they're in the Champions League next year, they're going to be able to splash it even more. So I feel like Chelsea might be at a bit of a risk where if they don't get it right next year, it could go very sour for the next 4 to 5 years.
Yeah. Do you know what it is as well? A lot of Chelsea fans that I know, even I just said it a second ago, a lot of them have been saying, "Oh, when we get all of these players gone, yada yada." But then I've realized a lot of these players that they're trying to get rid of Ziyech, all of these kind of guys, they're on big wages. They're on like 100 and something and like 50,000 a week. Like who's gonna take them? Like maybe like I think Ziyech would be good at like I don't know, like an AC Milan or something. It's something similar to that type of vibe.
Yeah,
But are they
I
going to
agree.
take him on those wages? Is anyone
No,
going to take him on those wages? So then I feel
no.
like, as you said, if they don't get it right, it could all go tits up. and
Yeah.
they'll be out of it for a few years. And then even with these, what's it called, the amortization of these fees, like over 8 years. Cool. With Mudryk, it's a long contract he's under. Okay, what if after 3 years he's still not performing to the level that you want, and you want to get rid of him, but you still got 5 more years of payments to make on him, and then who's to say you're even gonna sell him at a profit or even close to recoup any of the money that you put in for him? So
Yeah.
it's very like high risk, high reward kind of
True.
financial operating from them.
It's so hard to get rid of these guys, man. Obviously, Arsenal have proven that. I think United got kind of lucky with the situation where when Ten Hag came in, there were 7 players out of contract. So rather than him having to make a decision whether he wants to keep them, they're gone. So you have to do what you have to do with that. Whereas with Chelsea, a new manager is going to come in. He's got Enzo just signed an extension. He's going to be there till 2032, I think. Mudryk is on 7 years. Fofana, I think, is on 6. You know, all these guys are on long contracts. And if the manager don't fancy him when he comes in, it's going to be so hard to get rid of them. You're almost going to have to pay them to leave.
Yeah, man, I agree. I think, they're stuck with these players for so long. It's just an inshallah thing, man. Like, let's just hope it works next year. Let's just hope Mudryk becomes that player. But for them, I don't know. They've got to be just trying to get back into Europe next season. For me, lower their standards, just like how I said with United. United have done much better this season, where they've got top 4, looks like. But long season ahead for them. They got Real Madrid in a couple of days, and I don't see.
When it rains, it pours, man.
Yeah, I don't see them doing a 3-0.
Not with Lampard. We might get our first 007 manager, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be class, to be fair.
That would be fucking hilarious. Do you reckon Bowley would sack him? Do you reckon he just goes, fuck it, let's bring in some guy? Because he probably thinks there's still playoffs to play for. So he's probably like, let's bring in a manager for the playoffs.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised, man. I wouldn't be. But nah, you can't do that to a club legend like Lampard. Bring him in and then sack him.
Bowley didn't know who Lampard was until last week.
You don't even know what position he played. I can tell you that for free.
He probably calls him John Terry.
Lampard. Oh man! Before we wrap up, I want to have everyone's. Let's do a little a season recap. Let's get everyone's top 3 players, manager, and disappointment of the season. So I'll go first. Top 3 players season got to be Haaland, number 1. Number 2, guess you got to have either Saka or Odegaard. I'll go Saka, even though he's flopped recently. I think the clutchness he was at the start of this year, he's got to be him. Then 3, you got loads of players. You got Guimaraes. You got Casemiro can be up there. I'll go with. I'm gonna go a rogue shout. I'll go Trippier. I'll go Trippier as number 3.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
I don't mind either.
Managers Arteta, Howe, and Arteta, Howe is between Ten Hag and Emery, but I'll go Ten Hag just, and then disappointment of the season.
You what?
Ten Hag over Emery.
What? No shout for Guardiola.
It's a good point.
You're too desensitized to his greatness. He's on course for a treble.
You're right.
If he wins the treble, he's there. If he
wins the treble,
if he just wins the Prem, then he's not there, in my opinion.
I mean, because if we're doing it not on who's had the best season, but best season relative to expectation, then I hear Emery, Arteta, and those kind of shouts. But if we're just doing manager of the season, I think he's got to be at least in the conversation. Or if we pull it out of the business, then
objectively, he's the manager. He's probably the manager of the season at the moment because he's in 3 comps and he's on course to win the league. This point of the season, let's go with Heung-min Son or Richarlison, to be honest, man. But I kind of respected Richarlison. With Son, he got golden boot last season, and I know he scored on the weekend. 8 goals, not bad, but I think he's a big reason why Tottenham aren't doing it as well.
2 of your top 3 are Spurs players. That's so Spursy.
I don't even. It's just coincidence.
The thing is, you don't even hate Spurs that much. Like in comparison,
I going,
fans.
bro.
No, I
I'll say
wasn't even
that.
going on the whole Arsenal thing. I
Yeah,
just think it just makes sense for Spurs to have 2 out of the top 3 most disappointments.
yeah,
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 I think so as well. Louis, I'll want to give yours.
yeah. I'm gonna say the top three players are Erling Haaland. I'm gonna go with Gabriel because I think he's been your most consistent performer, and I feel like he goes under the radar. And I will go with again. I'll go with someone who was also very. Yeah, I'll go with Nick Pope as well because I think he's been very consistent. So I'll go with them three. Obviously, Haaland is number one far and away, and then I think the ones below that, there's probably 15 players who could be in there. Top three managers, I'm gonna go with. Uh, Part of me doesn't want to put Arteta in there, but he's got to be in there, and he. I'd say Arteta. I would say Pep, and I would say Ten Hag, but Eddie Howe is very close, and so is Emery. And then with my disappointments, I'll go. My mind went to Richarlison straight away. He hasn't scored a goal, and I actually think he's a good player, but just hasn't been it this year. Mudryk because he sold me a dream with that 5-minute cameo against Liverpool.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, probably Son as well, but he's picked up a little bit, but like who cares? Because it doesn't really mean anything.
yeah. That's fair, man. Similar to mine, then I guess. But yeah,
Mm.
Mukz.
You know, I want to go a bit like rogue with it. You know what I mean? Have a bit of fun with it. I think I'm just gonna do it. There's the ones that everyone knows. But I just want to shed light on players that I don't think are being speak about as highly as I think they should be. One which might be a bit biased is I'm gonna go Rodri. I think the
Yeah,
level he's stepped up to compared from last season to this season, where I think right now the way he's operating, the form he's playing in, I think you can make the argument pretty comfortably that he's the best defensive midfielder in the world. I don't know. Kimmich played against him the other day. He made him look like a little boy compared to him. Even though I don't think Kimmich was too horrible on the night, I think Rodgers made him look like a little boy.
No, I agree.
Um,
Rodri's lit,
Rodri's
man.
hard.
I
Rodri's
love it.
hard.
Oh, I love it. I
No,
love him,
Rodri's
man.
sick, man.
Love him.
Rodri's sick, man.
Two, I'd probably go with Bruno G. I like the way, I didn't think he'd step on and perform like how he was last season, but he seems to have taken the upper level. I just love him. I think he's honestly probably in that top 5 midfielders in the league conversation in and around there, or he's creeping up there. Maybe give it another season or so. And third, give me Witara Dango. I love the fact that Bournemouth are looking like they're gonna survive. It's mainly down to him. The guy is he's probably faster than Mbappe. He's off like a rocket. So
Yeah,
yeah, just to have a bit of fun, go different with it. I'm gonna go with those three.
yeah, man.
Mm-hmm.
And then disappointments. Was it disappointments or managers next? Managers.
Any man? Let's go with managers.
Yeah, I'd go Arteta definitely. Ten Hag because not just for the performances on the pitch, the way he's had a lot to deal with like off the pitch, and compared to Ollie, he looks like a proper authority figure. Like he's the helmet of this operation, and you know what I mean. He's someone I feel like he commands a lot of respect from everyone. And third, I'll give it Eddie Howe, man. I had no belief or faith or hope in him when he was at Newcastle. I don't think he was the man. I think he was just probably steady the ship to the end of the season and then get a bigger name. But fair play to him, man. He switched it around. He's playing a lot of different football than what he was playing at Bournemouth, which obviously, granted, he's got a lot better squad to play with. So yeah, go with him. And then disappointments, Anthony. Anthony has to be in there. I can't lie. I saw the little compilations before the season. I thought this was the second coming of flipping Neymar, and he's not performed at a level. I mean, he's had good I think he started with 3-3, didn't he? Yeah,
Yeah,
and he scored that rocket against City, but other than that, it's nowhere near consistent enough for me. I'm gonna go with another United player as well, which it feels a bit harsh, but I'm going Jadon Sancho. I really thought this was his season to really solidify and make himself like a mainstay in that United team. And obviously, I don't want to hammer in on him because of his mental health and all of that type of thing as well. And he's from the ends as well, man. I just love to see people from the ends, you know what I mean, make it. So
That's what
Yeah, I'll
Dutch
go
said as
him.
well, isn't it, Dodzi? That's the exact same thing Dutch said about Sancho.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
other disappointment, I'll go Richarlison, man. Come on, score one goal, like it's not that hard.
Yeah, I agree on Sancho. I think it's a bit harsh on Anthony. I think he's actually been quite good, but Sancho, I agree. Sancho, I don't think there's a way back for him at United at the moment. Well, at all. I think it might be the point in the summer where he's got one more year now, and then you sort of maybe get to January, February time next year, and if it's the same, you kind of just say, bro, go back
Cut
to
your
Dortmund
losses.
or do whatever, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of agree. As much as bro, Anthony's jarring, isn't it? He's like Bruno's little brother, bro. He's just, but he's less petulant. He's jarring in a different sort of way. He's just,
You
You
know,
see
but
what he's done
you know
to,
the
to
thing.
Harry Maguire? You see the clips?
yeah, I saw it. I saw it.
Absolutely rude.
But I think Anthony, like, he
He
does
offers
make United
something.
a bit better, man. To be fair, when he
Mm,
don't play, the right hand side's a bit. It's a bit. You
yeah,
got one there. You got Dallo there. Ain't quality. He played well yesterday. Goal
yeah.
against Barcelona. He's got some important goals. So,
Yeah,
but I
I
hear it.
think with Anthony, with the difference between him and Sancho is Sancho looks like when something doesn't come off, he looks like he's got no confidence. Anthony believes he's him and he thinks he's him. So if he loses the ball in a dribble, he's going to go again and he's going to go again and he's going to go again. He's going to keep trying to do something. And, sometimes he can try a little bit too much or he makes a stupid decision, but at least he's then going to go again. And at least he looks interested. With Sancho, it's like he loses the ball and he looks bare slow. He looks like he's wearing jeans. He looks like he just wants to go back and smoke a J. Um, whereas with Anthony, it's kind of like he wants to make the best out of his career. You can tell he's come from like a hard life, innit? You can tell he's come from the
Yeah.
favelas. He's come
That's why I
from
love him, man. I love
yeah.
those proper favela ballers. Like you can see even in the way they play, like that favela DNA is in him, man.
Mm,
Obviously, I'm rooting for him, man. I always love stories like that when people come from nothing and now they're at the very top. I'm rooting for him, but in terms of
mm.
expectation versus reality, and maybe my expectations were maybe higher than what they should have been. But
A
I feel
price
like
tag as well, innit?
across the board, I feel like it's not a ridiculous thing to say that he's been underwhelming this season.
Yeah, I hear it, and yeah, as I said, that price tag as well. That's 80 million pounds. You want someone to come in for 80 million pounds and have 20, 30 goals or 20, 30 goal contributions, and at the moment he's only got 9 goals and I think like 2, 3 assists.
But
Has
do you know
scored
what
some
it
important
is?
goals. Yeah, he has scored some important goals. Obviously, Arsenal, Barcelona, Real Betis, Everton as well in the Carabao. So he's had some important moments, and I think he's had a season where next season he can build upon this season. But I agree in terms of like if you spend 100 million euros, 80 million pounds on a player, you want them to come in and you want them to be the star of that team.
But
I,
do you know
I
what it is?
hear that.
I'm not really factoring in the transfers, the price of it as much because I feel like that's kind of a harsh thing to level at the player because the
Yeah,
player's
it
got
ain't his fault.
he's got no like that's got nothing to do with how much the team has decided to pay for him. Like even with Grealish, everyone knew he's not £100 million player. Uh, but even with Anthony, no, everyone well, I knew he's not £80 million player, and I wasn't
Mm.
expecting £80 million worth of results. But regardless, even now it's just been a bit underwhelming, man.
You Grealish.
No, not oh well, hell no, not Grealish. I love
It's
him to
alright.
bits.
Yeah, he's won me over a bit. Grealish. He's playing really well at the
The
moment. Because
Grealish remontada, love it,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, I was screaming flop, flop, flop. But
he's such a
he's not.
likable guy as well, isn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah, nah, he's doing his thing, man. Big reason for City. I didn't think the front three would work. I mean, Mahrez, Grealish, and Haaland. I thought it's just out wide. It's just
too
it's a
one
bit same
dimensional
old.
out wide.
But it's not a front three. It's a team. Like not even just to be cliche like that. I think for the system, the ball retention they have as opposed to like a Sterling, maybe it just works. It works really well, man.
Mm.
But yeah, that's it then, man. Guys, thanks for coming on.
No worries, man.
Thanks, yeah, Louie again and Mukz. Great
Yeah,
debut.
thank you, Mukz, bro.
Appreciate it,
Appreciate
lads.
it.
Thanks for coming on,
Listen,
man.
man, we're gonna have to hit the proper studio soon, man.
Yeah, no,
For real,
I'm
for
I'm
real.
I'm down. I've been wanting to come on for a minute, man. So
Yeah, we're gonna organize that. Mukz, I mean, your comment you made that caught attention was gonna teach us about ball. Well,
oh, you want to do drafts and that's where you'll see me in my element.
hey, all right,
Calm,
okay.
calm. All right, cool. We'll bear that in mind still.
Yeah.
We got that. We got that in mind. We'll do that. But if you've made it to the end of this episode, please hit the like. Please hit the subscribe. Follow us on Spotify, TikTok, Instagram. Let's get these followers up. Let's get these numbers up. And until next time, it's been the Streets Won't Forget podcast. And we're out. Peace out.
Peace.